Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you decided to show up again. So I just want to take this moment to say that I'm so grateful that I decided to do this, because I had been thinking about it for so long and I was never sure what to make. But right now, I don't get to go outside. I don't have college work. I don't even have like a job or anything. I'm very free. So this kind of lets my creative juices, or like my intellectual juices, flow. And also it gives me a chance to get dressed up, which I love. I don't even curl my hair, but I tried today, but the back, it does not look that great, so I just made a bun. Okay. Enough rambling. Let's get into it. So kiss me and smile for me. So this month I want to talk about, first and foremost, the thing that I really want to do on YouTube, that is book reviews and talking about books. So this month I decided on a very ambitious book list that I want to read. Now the problem with me is that I generally just read a lot of thrillers. So my area of reading is now not that expanded, it's not that vast. So I want to try to read other genres as well. So I made this fun reading prompt thing where I wrote down things that I've never read, or maybe I have read and I want to read again. And that's what I'm going to do today. So my reading prompt is, the first prompt is a novel you've read but didn't like. So that is this first book called The Ritual. You can see it in reverse because I take this on a selfie camera. I don't know how to set up the other camera. So, okay. So Ritual. Now I got this book many moons ago. And this book, I got this because I read Goosebumps and I thought that I had the capability to read more horror books, but I didn't realize that Goosebumps is vastly different from like a novel, a horror novel. It's more of like a short story, short book, Goosebump. But this was so it reads as, and on the second day things did not get better, but it was the dead thing they found hanging from a tree that changed the trip beyond recognition. So this is based around 4 friends who used to go to this university together, but now they're, they have their own stuff going on. They've all grown up, they have families, they have responsibilities, but they all always take a trip. So this time they decide to take a camping trip, and they go to this isolated, they're actually supposed to head to, I think, I'm not sure, but the basic thing is that they were supposed to go somewhere, but then they were like, oh, let's take like a shortcut, because all of them are like all grown up and they're not as physically fit as they were before. But they take that shortcut, and obviously, who would have guessed, it does not turn out that well. So, so this book, I started reading it. I read like maybe 20 pages of it before I got so tired of it, because it is so much detail, and it moves very slowly. Like there's this time where their time in the forest is described for so long that at the end, as you're approaching the end, the fun of it just dies. I don't know if I'm framing that right, but I think also because I was much too young to read this novel. There's no such thing as much too young to read this novel, but I was, I think, 16 and I did not get this book. So I think I might like it if I read it now, because I've read Stephen King's It, and it was a hefty book and there was so many details. So maybe now I won't mind the details anymore. So this is the first book that I want to read this month, The Ritual. Okay, it's by Adam Neville. The second prompt is a novel that intimidates you. Now, oh my God. I remember I got To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee when I was in the first year of my college. And I was, I thought that I was very much into literature, but I hadn't ever read like a classic novel or like a, classic book that you would read as a English literary enthusiast, I think. So this book I picked up when I was coming back, and there are these vendors outside the metro station. I don't think this is like the real original copy. It's kind of like a reprinted copy. And oh my God, you can see that I tried to read this because look at the condition of this novel. I took it everywhere with me, but I just couldn't get into it. Like see here, I also made a little diary meaning things. And it's actually falling apart. So I think I should read it. So I've never read the whole thing. I've seen like the movie and like a play based on it, and I really liked it. But when it comes to the book, I never really got into it. So maybe I should pick it up, because this is the book that I have. This is the only book I have in my house that I've not fully read till now. So I want to read that. Now there is a contemporary novel. For that, I have chosen Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. So I don't have like the physical copy of it. I will read it from an ebook. But the basic synopsis of it is, it's a young adult novel. It's a coming of age tale of fan fiction and first love. It is a story of twin sisters, who are identical twin sisters, Ren and Kath, who have grown up without a mother and a very busy father. So Kath and Ren are identical twins, as I said, and until recently they did absolutely everything together. Now they're off to university, and Ren's decided she doesn't want to be half of a pair anymore. It's not so easy for Kath. She would rather bury herself in the fan fiction she writes, where there's romance far more intense than anything she's experienced in real life. Now, Kath has to decide whether she's ready to open her heart to new people and new experiences. And she's realizing that there's more to learn about love than she ever thought possible. So it sounds very interesting. I really want to know if Kath really gets out of that shadow and if she really goes out and interacts with people. And, it makes you want to think. So by the title, I think it was about like someone being someone's fan or something, but no, it's about this girl who writes fan fiction and now she's wanting to, really live her life, which is exciting. So that's the contemporary novel that I chose. Then there's a Shakespeare play. Now, wait a minute. I have nothing against Shakespeare, but I have never gotten into that sort of things that he writes. He writes tragedy. He is, mainly writes tragedy. And I think that I tried to read Romeo and Juliet when I was in college, and I couldn't. For the life of me, the language confused me, and I just did not get it, and I could not relate to it. That is a big thing with me. If I cannot relate to a book, it becomes hard for me to read it, to get into it. There's no fluidity, there's no flow into the book. So, but I've decided that I should probably read one of the Shakespeare's play. So I'm not going to read Romeo and Juliet. I'm going to read Macbeth. Now, Macbeth is about, there's this brave Scottish general named Macbeth. He receives a prophecy from a trio of witches. You've got me intrigued. That one day he will become king of Scotland. Consumed by ambition and spurred into action by his wife, Macbeth murders King Duncan and takes the Scottish throne for himself. He's then racked with guilt and paranoia. So I want to see what happens. What happens to this Macbeth? Does he do something stupid? Does he get crazy? What happens? Obviously, they've said that he has guilt and paranoia, so something is bound to happen. But what is bound to happen? It's interesting. It's very interesting. Although it is still a tragedy, but I'm more interested to read this than Romeo and Juliet. And I have no offense to Romeo and Juliet. I know it's a classic, but for me, I'm more excited to read Macbeth. Now, there is a novel that starts with the first alphabet of my name. And I chose for this, Aristotle and Dante discovered the secrets of the universe. So, in this also there's Dante can swim, Ari can. Dante is articulate and self-assured. Ari has a hard time with words and suffers from self-doubt. Dante gets lost in poetry and art. Ari gets lost in thoughts of his older brother who is in prison. Dante is fair-skinned. Ari's features are much darker. So you get it. There's such contrast between these two people. So what happens between these two people? Against all odds, when Ari and Dante meet, they develop a special bond that will teach them the most important truths of their lives and help define the people they want to be. But there are big hurdles in their way, and the only way they can get through is by believing each other. And the power of their friendship. Can Ari and Dante emerge stronger on the other side? I want to know if they have what happens to their friendship? What happens? Does, Ari, Aristotle. So it's Ari, I think. Does Ari become more adventurous? Does Dante become more grounded? What happens? So it's that kind of novel. My hair is irritating me now, but let's move on. So after that, I have a detective novel. Now this falls into the category of books that I would generally read, but I still want to read it. So it's Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. Now, I love her novels, so I think that I love this one. And I got this book from a website, and they said that this and Murder of Roger Ackroyd and Then There Were None are the best novels that she ever wrote. Now, And Then There Were None was an independent. It was a mystery, but this and Murder of Roger Ackroyd is based off of those series of Hercules Poirot. He's a detective in Agatha Christie's novels, and I really like his character, even though he was in Big Four and it was not a save, but still. And yeah, so it's the story of how people are traveling in this train, and then people get murdered in the train, and they're trying to find out who is the murderer, and then Hercules, it's not Hercules. So Hercules Poirot is in the train, and then he is trying to figure out what's happening, and let's see what happens. I'm not sure what happens in this book. Then there is a book you read in high school. So for this, I might either reread Fault in Our Stars or Perks of Being a Wallflower, both of which are my favorite books. I have them stacked on this kind of, what do you call it? Like a tripod. It's not a tripod, like a stand setup. There's a children's book. For that, I will read my favorite, Matilda. Matilda is a girl who is super intelligent. By the age of 4, she can do math, she can read complex books, she's amazing, but her parents are kind of jerks. And then she meets this teacher named Miss Honey. If you can see, this is our, oh, it's not focusing. If I go outside the frame, okay, no. So Matilda is this is our little Matilda. This is Miss Trenchbull, who is the very strict and very rude headmistress. I was confused between this or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I decided on this. Next book is a self-help book or a motivational book. For that, I will read Everything is Fucked. I don't know if it's motivational or not, but then it says Everything is Fucked, but it is a book about hope. So let's hope that there is hope in this. And I don't know anything about... Okay, so I don't know anything about this book, but I'm hoping it's good. I'm going to read that one. And the last book that I want to read is a historical fiction. So historical fiction, we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So I've done a review of Circe on this. I don't know if I'd call it a review, it was very short. But this book, man, I mean, I love Madeline Miller. I think she is very, very, very talented. She gets into the details and she gets all the facts right. And this is again based on like Greek mythology, and I want to know what happens. It's based on Achilles. So I don't know who Achilles is, if I'm being honest. So it says Greece in the Age of Heroes. Patroclus, an awkward young prince, has been exiled to the court of King Peleus. I am butchering the names. And his perfect son Achilles. Despite their differences, Achilles befriends the shamed prince. And as they grow into young men skilled in arts of war and medicine, their bond blossoms into something deeper despite the displeasure of Achilles' mother, Thetis, a cruel sea goddess. But when word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, Achilles must go into war in distant Troy and fulfill his destiny. Torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus goes with him, little knowing that the years that follow will test everything they hold dear. Tell me that does not sound so exciting. So I think I might start reading this before We Were Liars, but no, I have started reading We Were Liars right now, and then we will follow up with this, and hopefully I get through my how many books are these? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 books. I hope I get through my 9 books this month. I'll let you know how the progress is going, and I am so thankful that you came here again today. I would never have expected getting so much love and support from you guys, and I am so grateful. Thank you for being here today, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
Ready, I'm so lonesome.